Monster Energy Supercross 2 Corners Review. The most noticeable differences from Monster Energy Supercross 1, in my opinion, are the pace of the game and the corners. The pace of the game feels slower than it was on the first game. However, I think this is an improvement because on the first game, the high-speed sections were a little sketchy, and they seem to be improved on the second game. The bike feels like it is less responsive than before, meaning it feels like there is less steering, and as a result, you can't charge into the corners as hard as you could on the first game. You can also adjust the bike setup. This makes a tremendous difference in how the bike handles and corners. The corners also feel like they're more competitive now with the improvement. It just seems like there's more you can do in the corner than before with the bike. I do plan to do a video on bike setup once I have the setup dialed in on most of the official tracks. So far, I've mostly just been getting the hang of the game, but that video will be coming. Okay, back to the corners. The corners in this game are way different than they were in the first game. You really have to brake before the corner to get slowed up enough to make the turn properly. You can use the front brake and throttle control to get the bike to rotate quickly. It took me quite a bit of practice to get this figured out. Too much front brake or throttle will cause the rider to fall over in the corner. However, Milestone really made some improvements in bike stability in the high-speed corners. I have been definitely enjoying this game. It's been a blast so far. The starts are close, intense, elbow banging. The corners are the same way, so are the straightaways, just everywhere. It's really close racing. The corners are realistic. You can run it in on somebody. You can take people out in the corners. Sometimes take yourself out too, but it's really fun. I definitely suggest you buy this game. One thing I do want to mention is the sound of the rev limiter. It has been greatly improved in the second game. It's not nearly as annoying as it used to be, and I definitely want to thank Milestone for that. The next thing I want to talk about are the tough blocks. They feel like they're harder and a little less forgiving now. Not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes going into the corner, going through the corner, going down the straightaway, if you just barely touch a tough block, the rider goes flying off the bike. So that's a little different. Another aspect of the tough blocks that's been improved is getting hung up on them. It doesn't seem to happen at all in the second game. One thing I've noticed is that if your back tire crosses somebody's front tire in the corner, you fall down instead of them. It's backwards from in real life, but it's not that big of a deal in the game. Another thing I've noticed is that it's easier to follow ruts in the corners now. You don't have to follow them. You can go over them, go around them, but it is possible to get the bike to stick in them pretty good and go around the corner fast that way. When I first got this game, it seemed harder than Monster Energy Supercross 1, but once you get the hang of it, it's just as easy and more fun than the first game. Although the controls are the same in the second Monster Energy Supercross game as the first one, you do have to ride the bike differently. When you go into the corner, there's no need to lean the rider the same direction that you're turning, and going through the corner, if you lean the rider back, the bike will take a much wider turn than it will normally. If you compare this game to Motocross Madness or Motocross Madness 2, it's like comparing apples to oranges. The amount of improvement in this gameplay is insane. I honestly will continue to buy these games. I've had so much fun playing them. They are such a blast. Hit that subscribe button for more content, and thank you for watching.